Say, hey, hey, G-E-R-R-N. What else? What else? A-F-R-I-C-A. Come on, come on, come on. A-F-R-I-C. Just let's go. So let's dance now. It is my turn. Just want you. I am ready for your action. Just want you. You should cut off all distraction. It's all on you now. And just give me some reaction. Just want you. Girl, I like the way.
It's another beautiful Sunday afternoon. This is Rubbin Minds. Welcome. My name is Ebuka Obiuchi, and yes, we do have a new government in Nigeria. It's our first show since the new administration was sworn into Nigeria. The wind of change has finally blown into the seat of government. President Muhammadu Buhari is officially the president of Nigeria, and we want to start believing that a lot of the things he promised will come into effect. A lot of Nigerians have started, putting him under pressure already. There's a lot of talk on social media already about some of the appointments that we thought would have been made by now. But we're going to just keep watch. I mean, it's just about 24 hours since he's been sworn in, or about 48 hours since he's been sworn in. So we're hoping that things get to move on swiftly. But we also need to remind him that it's been 412 days since over 200 girls were abducted from the government secondary school in Chibok. And like Mr. President said in his inauguration speech, he would not consider Boko Haram defeated, at least until those girls are found. And 412 days is a long time. But considering the pledge that he's made, we want to believe that he's going to put in all the efforts to find those girls and all the other people who have been abducted from the northeastern region since the insurgency started in that part of the country. We're wishing him all the best. We hope that Nigeria gets to move on from strength to strength, moving on from now, and most importantly, that we get to the destination that we hope we get to. It's a very, very tough place to be right now. The economy is on the downturn, revenue is very thin, we're in debt. There's a lot of expectation from Mr. President, but we're going to give him all the support that we hopefully can to make sure that he succeeds. Now, there's a lot to talk about on the show today. I have here with me Rubbin. He's a social media commentator based in the UK. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
It's been a very interesting week. There's a lot that's happened, but of course, we have to start with the big one. Mr. President was inaugurated, and you were at the inauguration, weren't you?
Luckily, yes, I got an invite to the inauguration. Yes.
Did it feel any different from those of us who watch it on TV? What was the atmosphere like? Let's start with that.
Atmosphere at Eagle Square was electric. You could sense people were sort of like tired of the old administration, and they really wanted to usher in the new one. And it was really, really good. It was electric. People were really happy. You could sense the hope and the change in the air. It was really nice to be there.
Where's this sense of hope from? Because it's very interesting, and I know this question has been asked a lot of times, and it's actually been answered a lot of times, nationally, internationally, from someone who's been president before, head of state before, and has run so many times. What happened this time that's made everybody suddenly so hopeful that he would do different?
I think, first of all, it's down to the previous administration of Goodluck Jonathan. I think from now on, I don't think it will be really difficult for any administration to perform any worse than the administration of Goodluck Jonathan. And looking at the precedents of President Buhari, and he was just the person who he was, and people were really expecting something to change. And like I said, no one could have done any worse, and it's a
when
good
you say
feeling.
Worse, in what way?
Because
I mean,
he really
infrastructure-wise, he did do a bit. I mean, roads were constructed. We've heard a lot about the trains. Airports were being built. Are you talking based on security for the most part?
Security. I think most of the achievements of Goodluck Jonathan was all celebrating mediocrity, and the bar was really lowered. And I think Nigeria wanted something different. They wanted a new leader to kind of raise the bar from where it was. So, and they saw President Buhari as the person to move Nigeria from where it was into somewhere different, somewhere better, and the change that they all clamored for. And I think finally it has happened, and it was a good feeling, like I said, of moving Nigeria from the despair that it was into a new place.
Before we go into expectations in particular, let's talk about the speech. Now, a lot of people have talked about his inauguration speech. I personally was looking forward to it for the most part. That was actually why I watched, because you find that most times, even internationally, when someone is sworn in, you get a sense of his direction from what he has to say on the day. It was a short speech. It wasn't a long speech, more like. And it had a lot of punchlines. What stood out for you there the most?
I'm from everybody, I'm for nobody.
It's the quote of the century, isn't it?
That is it.
It's actually nice to have a quotable quote from the president for once. Yeah.
That's line. I'm for everybody. I'm for nobody. You can interpret it in different ways. For me, a couple of things was one. He's saying that he's not going to be a sectional leader. So from Port Harcourt to Daura, from Borno to Badagry, from Cross River to Sokoto. I'm going to be a president for all Nigerians. And that's really important because, and that's one of the criticisms that Goodluck Jonathan had, because he was seen as a sectional leader. So Buhari is saying, I'm not going to be a sectional leader, I'm going to be a Nigerian for, a president for all Nigerians. And that's really important. So everybody sees him as serving them rather than serving a section of the country. And the other thing is he's for nobody, so he's not going. He has no loyalty to anybody or any party, which is really important again, because in politics, especially in Nigeria these days, you see the president or people are always loyal to certain people who have brought them into government. But he's saying that I'm for all Nigerians and I'm for nobody, and that's really key as well.
People have said that these things are easier said than done. Mr. President, our former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan may not have had a quotable quote when he was sworn in 2011, but he gave a pretty good speech, talked about the things he was going to do, how he was going to fight corruption. He talked a lot about fighting corruption at the time. You know, he talked about how he was going to build on infrastructure and build on legacies of President Yaradua, who passed away. Why should we believe him this time? Because, I mean, speeches it's just a speech.
Well, like I said, it's people are hoping, and cautiously, because I think they've seen the worst of leadership in Nigeria. And if someone comes in and says, okay, I'm going to do this differently, you just have to trust, well, cautiously, the person. I just hope that he does what he says he's going to do, because they really couldn't continue with this kind of leadership that they've seen over the last 5-6 years. So it was good to just like, let's give him a chance and give him the benefit of the doubt, see what he's going to do. And we hope, we're praying that President Jonathan does way better than the previous administration, because anything short of that, goodness, is going to...
President Buhari, you mean?
Yes, President Buhari, yes.
I understand you when you say, you know, things have to change and things have to be different. I mean, which is why I guess people voted in a different person or a different party. But Boko Haram was probably the biggest issue that President Jonathan had to tackle. And without a doubt, he did do well at the end of his administration with fighting and pushing them back. Very fairly by a lot of people. He gave reasons why it took that long, you know, to fight that fight. The military was completely ruined with regards to equipment and morale and all of that. And it wasn't him who probably took them to that point. I mean, we've had presidents over the years who didn't equip the military, and we got to a point where we couldn't fight a war in our own land. So would it be fair? I mean, you keep saying mediocrity and he celebrated all of that, but he did do some work. He did. I mean, like you said, the bar might have been low, but I mean, he did do some work.
He did, 6 weeks before the elections. And that's the key point. He had 5 years to do something, and 6 weeks before the elections, that's when he actually started doing something that was feasible. And that's not really acceptable, because if you can do something within 6 weeks, what happened in the last 5 years? If the military didn't have trainings or equipment or whatever, it doesn't take 5 years to get military equipment. If you could have done it within 6 weeks, you definitely could have done it in the first or second year. Yeah. And I think most of it was because there was a lot of politics being played, and people were just scoring political points around the whole Boko Haram thing, and most Nigerians didn't like that. Yeah. Instead of them to have told the whole country where we were and how they were dealing with Boko Haram, people were busy trying to push blame and all that, and people were dying daily. So really, that he did something within 6 weeks before he left and 5 years, that wasn't really acceptable.
A lot of people have said as well that, I mean, it's easier to be in the opposition, you know, and talk the talk and all of that. We've seen President Buhari shift in a few grounds his language and even his body language on certain issues. He made a lot of very firm promises when he was campaigning. Now we're hearing things like, be patient, it might take some time, I'm not promising too much. You know, obviously he's realized that this thing is enormous. Is that not a sign that being in there and being out of there are two different things?
I don't think so, because I think it was a few weeks before the elections and the campaign started properly. He had an interview and he was quoted as saying that if Nigeria must change, that we have to make sacrifice, and it would take probably about 5 years. He said that. So I'm not going to say, oh, he's changing his mind after winning. He has said that, and I think it was right after winning the elections to make people know that, look, this thing is going to take a while. It's not going to happen overnight. But then we'll expect changes. We expect to see, and we're not going to tolerate or condone excuses such as it happened before my time and that kind of thing. That President Buhari should know that, and we need to see changes. For instance, if Nigerians who currently experience 1 or 2 hours of power daily, in a few weeks and a few months' time start to experience 3, 4, 5 hours, they understand that this thing, there's progress, slight progress, and they will be patient enough to give him the chance. But if he starts making excuses like the previous administration, he's going to have a very hard time.